All right, let's talk about the literature review. For so many of us, it's the most dreaded part of any big project. But what if I told you we could change that? What if we could turn it from a total chore into, well, an actual act of discovery? In this explainer, we're going to show you exactly how to do that.
Does this sound familiar? You sit down to write, and you just start making a list. Author A found this. Author B said that. Author C adds another point. Before you know it, you've got this huge pile of summaries. But does it actually help you think? Let's be honest. Most of the time, the answer is a big, frustrating no.
Okay, so this is the core shift we need to make. The old way is outlist of summaries, but the new way, the powerful way, it's about seeing your lit review as a map of thinking. It's not about what people found. It's all about how they thought to get there.
And that brings us to our first big idea. We've got to move from summary to syntax. What does that mean? It means your literature review isn't a passive collection of facts. Nope. It's an active reconstruction of how other researchers' minds actually work. You're not a reporter anymore. You're more like a detective of thought. Here's a really cool way to think about it. Every single study you read is like a sentence, and all those sentences together form this huge language of ideas. Our job isn't to just repeat the words in that sentence. Our job is to decode the grammar, the underlying logic that holds it all together. But how do we actually do that, right? It sounds good in theory, but we need a tool, and that's where the syntax matrix comes in. Think of it as a framework built on 6 pretty simple questions that act like keys. They unlock the logic that's hidden inside any research paper. And here they are. First, what is the topic? Simple enough. Who is the researcher, and what's their perspective? Why did they even bother asking this question? Where is this all taking place? What's the context? How did they do the work? And finally, when? How does this piece connect to everything that came before it? You see, answering these questions lays bare the syntax of their reasoning. Okay, so that's the theory. But let's get practical. Let's see how this actually works. We're going to take a totally typical, kind of flat summary and transform it into a rich map of an author's thought process. We're going from one boring sentence to a whole system of thought. Here it is, the classic, super boring summary. Smith studied digital literacy using interviews. I mean, yeah, it's true, it's correct, but it tells us basically nothing. It's a fact with no story, no life. This is what we have to get away from. So let's rebuild this thing using our syntax questions. We're not going to start with what Smith studied. We're going to start with his motivation. He asked why students struggle. All of a sudden, there's a purpose. This research has a heartbeat. And from there, the why leads us right to the what. So then Smith explored what specific things are shaping their learning. You see what's happening? We're not just stating a topic anymore. We are tracing an intellectual journey, step by step. Now, let's add the perspective. This wasn't just some random exploration. Smith came at it from a constructivist position. That's the who. It's the lens he was looking through, and that is absolutely critical if you want to understand his conclusions. And finally, we add the context. The where. He grounded his entire study in Taiwan's higher ed system. Now look at that. Do you see the difference? We went from this flat, boring little summary to a sentence that maps out an entire intellectual architecture. It's a total game changer. Okay, now just take a second and imagine doing this for more than one paper. Imagine doing it for 10 papers or 20. You're not just collecting a list of facts anymore. You are literally mapping out different grammars of thought. And this is where the magic really happens. Because when you start to overlay these maps of thinking, all of a sudden, patterns just pop out. You can see where two authors share the same why, but they totally disagree on the how. You can spot the gaps. Your literature review stops being a list, and it becomes this living, breathing system of ideas. So what's the big picture here? This whole approach, it's not just a technique. It's a fundamental shift in how we see research itself. It's about finally understanding that all of this academic work is just one massive ongoing conversation, and our job is to learn its language. You know, just think about the word itself, research. When we review literature, we are literally searching again. We're researching the process of thinking. Every author gives you more than just data or content. They're offering you a unique way of seeing the world, and our job is to understand that viewpoint. So I really want you to try this out. This week, just pick one article, and don't you dare summarize it. Structure it. Use those 6 questions. Then do it for a second article and put them side by side. Those points where they connect or where they clash, that's it. That's the starting point for your own original contribution.
Which leads us to one last question. After all of this, what's the true measure of a great literature review? What's it really supposed to show?
Well, the answer isn't about how many pages you have or how many sources you cite. A good lit review doesn't show how much you've read. It shows how deeply you've managed to think through other people's thoughts. It's a demonstration of your analytical depth, of your intellectual empathy.
And really, that's the ultimate takeaway. It doesn't matter if you're in physics or history or art. The best researchers are all fluent in one universal language, and that is the language of thinking itself. By learning its syntax, you're not just becoming a better writer, you are becoming a much, much better thinker.